New York Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates have been linked in trade rumors, according to Andrew Filipponi on Twitter. I believe he is a radio host in Pittsburgh, talks about sports on 937 The Fan. Got to give a shout-out to the radio guys.
93.7 The Fan. Have some respect. Have some decorum.
That's
the
where
radio.
That's where you lose me with the
It's
radio.
the radio.
I forget about the points. But hey, he came out and he said, sources. The Pirates have engaged in trade talks with New York Mets and are pursuing Brett Baty or Mark Vientos. Both play third base, but have been uprooted from that position because of Mets offseason moves. Asking price is high, but something can still get done. We're going to talk about this. The validity of this, whatever it's going to be. We'll give you some thoughts, opinions, trade proposals. Before we do, make sure you are subscribed to Mets'd podcast on YouTube. And if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, download. Click that download button. You always get every new episode every time it comes out. We do appreciate you guys. You sent this one to me, James. You're like, let's talk about this because this is somewhat fascinating, especially with the little breadcrumbs we got earlier in the offseason from Joel Sherman about Bubba Chandler and Braxton Ashcraft.
Yeah, just based on the fact that the Pirates have a clear need at third base. Again, it's anyone's argument whether or not Mark Vientos is a third baseman at this point, but they were in the race for Eugenio Suarez. He signed with the Reds instead, and seemingly for less money and fewer years just because you wanted to be in Cincinnati instead of Pittsburgh. As of right now, the Pirates are likely heading into the season with Jared Triolo as the third baseman. I don't think it's exactly a bad option, but it seems like Triolo is much more of a defensive guy. I think they just need more offense based on where they are.
Check those second half numbers.
No, I think he'd be good. I'm going to talk about Jared Triolo later as we try to actually create a mock trade here. But logically, it makes sense, again, because that Sherman article from like 2 weeks ago now said that David Stearns was engaged with Ben Cherington for a short period of time trying to get starting pitching. And he specifically named Sherman, Bubba Chandler, and Braxton Ashcraft. We didn't really get anything about what the Mets were offering back. It seems like those went down after the Mets went out and got Freddie Peralta. But it does seem like there's a fit for the Pirates. It seems like there's still a roster glut for the Mets, so I can see logically how this could make sense.
Sure, everything except Bubba Chandler. I don't think there's that would be a heist. If the Mets,
I meant general Baty and Vientos. I didn't mean anything about Bubba Chandler.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, then definitely, especially Mark Vientos being a guy that like a couple years ago hit 30 home runs, right? Like a couple years ago was a big reason for the Mets NLCS push. You probably could convince. I think there's part of the reason why Mark Vientos is also still here is you could convince people that the bat will come back, not to the same heights, but maybe just to an acceptable level where you can look past the putrid third base defense. And for the Pirates, who, again, just need more major league players, even though I'm drinking that Pirates Kool-Aid and I'm getting cooked for it on Twitter today. I'm getting absolutely destroyed. All the Cubs and Brewers fans are making fun of me because I said, because Pirates are linked to Framber Valdez.
Well, that's not true either.
That's definitely not true. But if they are, I was like, get Framber, Connor Griffin opening day. Now they can win the NL Central. And people are cooking me for saying they could win it with that roster. But that's not the point of this conversation. We're not getting Bubba Chandler. Braxton Ashcraft feels unlikely. But I'm assuming that's why this Pirates news source is saying that the price is high, is because I'm sure, and we talked about this off air, that the conversation went, Mets go, we'll give you Brett Baty for Bubba Chandler. And they go, well, we'll give you Braxton Ashcraft for Brett Baty. And then the Mets go, actually, we'll give you Mark Vientos for Braxton Ashcraft. And then it goes click.
Yeah, then all of the conversations ended. I do think quickly we just have to reference how underrated Bubba Chandler seems to be in these Mets circles. Like,
It's crazy.
It's a pretty good chance that by like June 1st, he's just considered one of the 25 or 30 best pitchers in baseball. Like, he went through a lot of bullshit last year where he got to AAA by the end of the 2024 season as one of the best pitching prospects in baseball, as both a former high-level quarterback recruit to the University of Clemson, and then drafted as a two-way player, signed with the Pirates, then gave up, I think it was a shortstop to pitch full-time. Found himself a strike thrower, throwing 100 miles an hour with a nasty slider, built up a changeup over the last few years. Dominated through April at AAA last year, and it felt like, okay, he's going to get called up to the Pirates. Like, this is going to happen. Pirates wind up leaving him down there. He voiced some frustration. It seemed like he just got pissed that his service time was being manipulated, and he just kind of tanked, which is not an excuse, but he was terrible for the rest of the season at AAA. Even though he was bad for the rest of the season at AAA, the Pirates still called him up around August 20th, which coincidentally was right when he was able to come up and maintain the rookie status for this year. It's very funny how that service time manipulation works out. Then he was like pretty good when he got called up last year for the Pirates. So he's not going anywhere unless you give up like Carson Bench, truthfully.
Yeah, and the Pirates, there's no incentive for them to move him right now.
None whatsoever. He's awesome.
Here's the crazy thing. Why do you think the Mets would move Brett Baty for Bubba Chandler? Because it would make the Mets better. Why would the Pirates make that trade? They're just going to be a worse team.
He's just a guy that's not getting traded. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
There's no chance. If you guys have fantasy baseball drafts, he should be one of your primary sleepers. Like, he's just that. We'll move that one along.
To be a little crazy, like there's a world he's better than Nolan McLean right now. And think about if you switch the teams or switch the narratives there. Like if the Pirates were saying we'd give you Brett Baty for Nolan McLean, you'd be like, no, like we're not doing that. And it's probably the same conversation. Also, I don't know if the Mets are really shopping Brett Baty.
I think the Mets might be softly shopping Brett Baty just in case they can get like an elite shit back. But you're not, again, like Brett Baty and Bubba Chandler are not in the same galaxy. They're not in the same universe. Like Bubba Chandler, if the Pirates have a playoff series next year, Bubba Chandler's starting the second game after Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
Again, like we just have to put that one to bed. But in terms of a guy like Braxton Ashcraft, I think he is really good. The slider's really nice. He's spent time developing that fastball. Like last year, he was awesome in a swingman role. But I think that with the addition of Tobias Myers, he's a guy that'd be extraneous into that role. Like I don't think that he's reliable enough to be a full-time starter with this team, even though last year he only did get to starting by the end of the year with the Pirates. He still only completed 5 innings 3 times the entire season. It's just you would want him in that swingman role. We just got someone to fill that optionable swingman role. It doesn't line up as well right now as it probably did a month ago when these conversations actually happened. But maybe, I don't know, maybe there is still a through line.
Yeah, I'm interested to know, like, are the Pirates even trying to trade any of these pitchers? Because
I don't think so.
They don't have any pitching depth either. This is something that we talked about in the windup when we were going over our team rankings for like power rankings before the season. Love the Pirates pitching staff healthy on paper. As soon as there's one injury, you're like, where in the world are they going to get innings from?
Yeah, they're a team that fits really well, I think, to sign a guy like Lucas Giolito or Zach Allen or Zach Littell, Nick Martinez, Chris Bassett. They should be a team that's really looking at, if not one, 2 of those types of like mid-back-end rotation playoff swingman guys because they did that with Mike fucking Clevenger today. Imagine that. Imagine that guy still gets a major league job. It's ridiculous. But like literally, and then they're also talking to Marcell Ozuna. Like how bad of guys they're trying to add to that clubhouse before the season begins. But at the same time, like they are a few depth pieces away from competing for a wild card spot, and they're Framber Valdez away from competing for a division, like you said. But that's also not going to happen. So it doesn't make sense why they would. But you brought up Triolo before, and I know Triolo did have those nice second half splits. Is a Triolo for Vientos swap possible? An offense for defense.
I'm so glad you said that because Jared Triolo, like, well, let's just completely ignore the offense of the second half right now, right? You said an offense for defense swap. In terms of like utility men, defensive players that would really fit a need that the Mets have, what if I told you that Jared Triolo played more games at shortstop than any position last year? A little bit of third base, a little bit of first base, a little bit of second base, and he's even played a couple innings in the outfield too. If you were ever desperately needing it, this would be someone that does make sense as the backup infielder where you can move a Vientos, you can get a Jared Triolo who the Mets don't care if he hits. They're just like, you're going to be a good glove at 3 infield positions. That alone brings us value, and if we get anything at the plate when you do fill in, great, let's go, we're pumped. I think that there's a world where that could make sense for the Pirates, and I think as a Pirates fan, Pirates organization, you, like, this is kind of lazy, but like you can find fielding. You might not be able to find the possible Vientos pop that you can on the free agent market or really on the trade market right now.
Possible. I got you hip to Jared Triolo like 3 years ago when Baseball America touted him as like a late blooming.
When he killed the Mets too. He kills the Mets every time we play him.
And you chastise me because you're like, this guy can never hit. He can never hit. I was like, I think he's just a good enough glove to be good. And if he figures it out, he figures it out. And he was a lefty masher last year. And like you said, that first second half split. In the first half, the slash line was 158, 253, 266. That was good for a 45 WRC plus. Yeah. In the second half, 276, 353, 422 for a 120 WRC plus.
With elite defense at multiple positions. Like that's valuable.
And average bat speed along the way and decent swing decisions. Like it is something where he probably can just play a little bit of ball. And I think I wonder, because again, sometimes I really can't figure out these major league trade values, which makes sense because I don't work in front office.
Of course.
But I do wonder if that was floated, how both teams would respond to that. Is that something that both teams would say no to? Is something both teams would like? I really wish sometimes be a fly on the wall for those conversations for the people smarter than me.
Yeah, it would be cool just to even just for me and you to know, not even to share with you guys, honestly. I'm gonna be selfish for a second, just to know how teams are actually, like what the process is of evaluating these guys. Because I'm going to say something crazy too. I'm not saying they're the same player, but we talked about Brendan Donovan on the windup and the trade that happened there. What if I told you that Jared Triolo's WAR over the last 3 years is not too far off of Brendan Donovan's, and he's played significantly less games?
So again, I don't know. In a real baseball sense, he might be more valuable as a trade chip than Mark Vientos. Again,
and maybe that's the thing. Maybe we're completely undervaluing him, and Jared Triolo for Mark Vientos is highway robbery, according to everybody.
And it's definitely very possible. Like, Jared Triolo has been up for the Utility Gold Glove Award, I think, already 2 times in his career. Also, it's fun. They have the exact same service time remaining. They'll both be free agents in 2030. Triolo's 28. Vientos is 26. Vientos also just has an offensive season that Jared Triolo will likely never be able to match. Like, I don't think Jared Triolo can ever have an 800 OPS. What?
How old's Brett Baty?
25?
Him and Jared Triolo, I think, were on the same high school baseball team. Really? They both went to Lake Travis High School. And
Lake Travis
Triolo's 27 and Brett Baty's 26. What a hot corner.
Home of Garrett Wilson, Kerry Gilbert, Baker Mayfield. What an incredible athletic high school. That's crazy. But, like, even Vientos, like we talk about how bad Vientos was to the plate last year. What?
No, I'm just again looking at career stats. Man, it is crazy to see that Jared Triolo has a higher career OPS than Brett Baty.
That's crazy. I mean, Baty was pretty horrible until last year.
No,
but last year, as bad as Vientos was, and again, he was really bad. He was still basically a league average hitter.
Yeah.
And if you gave him a full run of playing time and he didn't get hurt, you probably still got 24, 25 homers out of him. And for a Pirates team that seems like they do really, really, really lack that last bit of punch in the lineup and a little bit more offensive ceiling, like you can get some there with Brett Baty. I mean, Mark Vientos. I mean, you could for Brett Baty too, but I don't think that's a trade I would do. And yeah, they do have a lot of left-handed bats, like Vientos, something that you want to be able to play against left-handed pitchers. But you also have a lot of guys who don't really have a defensive home on that Pirates team. And Jared Triolo is a big-time glue guy for them.
One of the few that actually does have a position that can play
multiple positions.
Yeah,
play anywhere.
That plays him well, where putting Mark Vientos at third base we know is a mistake.
But also, if you put Connor Griffin at shortstop with his defense, like
maybe he just carries him a little bit. And
that's what I'm saying. You could probably find a way there. Like that's exactly where my mind went originally. I think that conversation came up too in the Mets'd Discord, but that to me was a spot where I was like, I don't think the Mets would look to acquire prospects, but
no.
This is something that we talked about literally yesterday to you guys that this roster needs, and I guess you could possibly get it.
I'll tell you one guy it won't be. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa just signed with the Red Sox.
Nice. Oh, nice. That's awesome.
That's going to be fun when they play the Yankees, though, and the Blue Jays.
And the Blue Jays, yeah, the whole thing right there. But, like, otherwise, looking at this roster, like...
You know where I'm going.
Where?
If we're trading Mark Vientos, the guy that I really want, and he probably is way too valuable. I need my guy Justin Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Like, I don't think they would do that either, though.
Probably not, because he was in the very small sample he had last year, 17 innings with the Pirates. I think he gave up one earned run. Like Justin Lawrence getting out of Coors, he might just be a demon now.
The way they've built this bullpen, they kind of need Lawrence and Montgomery just to be like, again, like guys who have gas. And I don't see them trading either of them in a move like this. I mean, maybe they will. Maybe they have confidence in some minor league pitching development. Like they have a lot of catchers in the upper minors. Like maybe the Mets want one of those guys. I guess they could use a third catcher in the 40-man. They just signed Hedges, right? Austin Hedges, but
I'm even trying to like look around and see who could even be a piece for Vientos, because I don't think Baty's going there simply for the fact of I don't think the pieces. Yeah, he might be too good, and the players that would be required back, the Pirates shouldn't trade them.
No, and maybe it's just we're also at the same time overselling Vientos. Maybe the Mets are okay with getting a project prospect.
Could be,
like someone that like we're not even thinking about. You know, like that's probably in play just for where Mark Vientos has gone. But also, like maybe if the Mets thought that way, they would have just gotten Luis Robert at the trade deadline. Like, because that was the rumor that's being floated out there, and it seemed like something that was really specific. Like, I don't know, do the Mets want Billy Cook? He's like, he's like the poor man's Jared Triolo.
Looking at Billy Cook.
I'm saying he's the poor man Jared Triolo. Like, he does similar things.
At that point, I think I'd rather just have Mark Vientos than Billy Cook.
Maybe that's the exact conversation that happened between Charrington and David Stearns, where it's like, maybe we can't actually find this.
It does seem, though, like they are trying to find a way to maybe get a trade done, these two teams, which is interesting, and that was kind of the entire point of this video and conversation.
And the fact that, again, it still feels like, especially after those Ty France rumors, that the Mets just don't really want to go into the season with Mark Vientos still on this team. Because how much more valuable can Mark Vientos get unless there's a major injury? And also, if there's a major injury, Mark Vientos can't really play any of the positions anyway.
Yeah, like, I mean, he can get more valuable, but I do think because last year, and this is, like, so rude, but, like, he was worthless. He was a worthless player on the team last year. There was not really a positive to his game. Like, I know he was, like, basically league average, but with how bad he was defensively and how horribly slow he is, there is relatively no value that he brings. So, like, maybe that's the scare, too, is that while there was a great, great height in 2024, you just saw the floor, and the floor is, like, who cares? Whatever.
Well, if that's the floor, though, again, like that's a ceiling and a floor worth buying. Truthfully,
Maybe.
If the floor is like you could be about league average, like you could hold a 715 OPS on a 20-something homer pace. If that's the floor, like yeah, find a way, like wedge him in there. Like he doesn't fit the Pirates. I mean, I guess if you think he can play third, he fits the Pirates roster. I don't think he can play third.
I don't think he can play third at all. And I think that's the other problem is that you're going to play first base or DH, and you don't hit good enough, and you're also not going to play first base.
You might hit good
enough,
though. You might hit good enough.
700. He has to be 750 minimum.
Yeah, he has to get to a 110 WRC plus, and he has to get to like a 310, 305 on base percentage.
Yeah, which it's just,
on a 25, 30 homer pace. Like that is what he has to do. And I do think that there's a chance he can do that. I don't think that's a good stadium for him to try and do that. But for a Pirates team that, again, like seemed like they were going to give Eugenio Suarez like a multi-year contract up like with over $15 million AAV to do like the 70th percentile outcome of Mark Vientos.
Also, I
possibly
think,
play horrible defense as well. They were willing to do that.
I also think too says a lot about if this rumor is real, sources, whatever it's going to be. I'm taking it as that this is somewhat in truth. No mention of Ronnie Mauricio is also very interesting. I feel like that does give us a little insight into what the Mets and David Stearns is thinking too about Ronnie as kind of like we don't want to move him. We're not trying to move Ronnie.
Well, I mean, a big whole point of the strategy of the second half of last year that literally probably cost the Mets a playoff spot was just keeping Ronnie on the bench the whole time. And so you can keep that option so you can get one more shot at basically seeing him just destroy AAA. Then if he destroys AAA and he doesn't get a major league job by July, suddenly he's another intriguing trade chip. But we keep trying to, call the herd here. And like that's what this offseason's really been about for David Stearns and his Mets front office. And that kind of is like Vientos kind of is the last semi-non-valuable holdover. I still think he has plenty of value because you saw ceiling with not the worst floor ever.
Is there any place we can ship him besides the Pirates? Like I'm trying to think of teams like that would even remotely take a chance on him and what we could get back.
I mean, I would have said the Diamondbacks before Carlos Santana, but I don't think that plays anymore.
Nationals?
I guess, and what do you get from the Nationals? They don't have like a one player value in the major league roster.
That's the problem. Is like, who would it be?
No, there really isn't anybody
unless you convince Martinez.
Unless you convince yourself, unless they'll do Luis Garcia, he seems pretty out of favor there, and he could be a utility infielder, but I don't think he can be. Someone should be wanting. There was the rumor that circulated out recently too that the Mets were thinking about Yandy Diaz, but apparently the Rays were interested in Ryan Clifford. Similarly with Brendan Donovan from the Cardinals, and also Clifford's a name that came up. It seemed like the Mets were not super willing to do that. I'm sure when someone asked for Clifford, you could throw back Vientos. It seems like they probably said no because those trades didn't materialize.
Is it like Marlins for Lake Backer? Backer?
Yeah, but the Marlins probably know that, especially Joe Mack will be ready this year. They're catching prospect in AAA. They know he's a significantly better defensive catcher than Augustin Ramirez. Yeah. So they know Augustin Ramirez's eventual home probably just is first base anyway. So you probably don't want to overload against players of similar archetypes together.
What about the Cardinals? I'm going to keep throwing out names because right now Alec Burleson's projected to play first. I guess that also could be Nolan Gorman, but he's projected for third. And they're
Alec
definitely
Burleson's
not going to keep
Alec Burleson's he's 1 year older than Mark Vientos.
No, I'm not saying we trade for Alec Burleson. I'm saying
saying why would they want?
Because Burleson in the outfield.
Oh yeah, I guess Burleson could play the outfield.
And then give us JoJo Romero.
JoJo Romero would make sense. Every time I look at this Cardinals roster resource page and see every single player in the starting nine being a Cardinals draftee is pretty hilarious. But maybe they want JoJo Romero. But we talked about the other day, yesterday, that maybe the Mets don't want to box themselves in with one more guy without options in this bullpen. I could see that being a possibility for them.
Man, there's just not a home for Vientos.
They're probably somewhat. I'm sure people are calling and they're asking, but
is it platooning first base with Kyle Manzardo in Cleveland?
Maybe, but I don't see the Guardians jumping on him to be the platoon guy. You're not getting a trading real asset for a lefty masher. I think the Twins would have made sense, but then they went out and signed Josh Bell. But I think that he could have been fun there. I don't know I don't know what we get back from them. But
I have no idea where he goes. That's the biggest issue.
So maybe he doesn't go anywhere. Maybe you try to do this again, but then
if he doesn't have it, you just non-tender him, and that's the end of it.
I guess, but that's probably why they are working, trying to get creative for end of trade right now. Because once you get to midseason, he doesn't play the whole first half, and where is the value?
Yeah, then it's over.
That's why it's the opposite around you right now, where he's gonna. 1,400 OPS in
Like you
Syracuse.
said, you got the Brett Baty jersey right up there. You got the Vientos jersey right next to him. Ronnie Mauricio,
Right
bang,
there.
bang, hang him in the rafters.
They'll be remembered forever at Syracuse. But I think this is the last piece that David Stearns wants to try to thread the needle on this offseason, where there's been hyperactivity. And the Pirates probably do make the most sense if they don't care about their base defense and they want right-handed power. So you ask, why not?
Yeah, I guess we'll figure it out. I got nothing else to talk about, though. It's 20 minutes about a theoretical Mets-Pirates trade.
Got a lot of Braxton Ashcraft and Jared Triolo talk.
And Bubba Chandler. Love Bubba Chandler.
Bubba Chandler's so good.
Keep
He's
an eye
so
out for
good.
him, guys. He's so
Oh,
good.
my God, he's so good. He's ridiculously good. He's not
But that's it.
available.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to Mets'd on YouTube. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. You can follow James on social media at
James Chiano.
I'm Giraffe Nick Mark. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.
Peace out, guys. Let's go, Mets.